hell breaks loose. But yes, but Matty Chambers is still out there in front with Ryan Martin in second place. Chris Boland up to third place. What has happened? What has happened to Matt Isherwood? He's just no longer there, or maybe he's in third place. Yeah, because obviously we were jumping from first and second to the fifth place on the leaderboard. But yeah, it was just like a whole chapter of instance all rolled into one there, and I think it just goes to show how quickly, if the drivers just lose it a little bit, then we're in for a bit more smoke and fire at the top of that picture as well. So yeah, it's all to play for.
Oh, what's happened to Ryan Martin? Ryan Martin from second place is all the way down into 13th. Here's a replay of what happened with Darren Berris there. That's on the brakes into turn one then, into Redgate Corner. Looks like the car just locks up and points him into the opposite direction here. Here is Ryan Martin then, and oh, that's what we call netcode there. You can see a little jink under braking, and what happens is that the two computers can't quite decide what actually has happened, and there's a little miscommunication, and it looks like, right, for Ryan Martin's point of view, he feels like he's just been hit up the rear, and from the guy behind, he just sees the car wobbling away off into the gravel there. So unfortunately, that's a horrible one to see there, but he just has to try and dust himself off. Meanwhile, Chris Bolland's off into the grass as well. Craig Durant has had a bit of a moment there, but how has Craig Durant got a 4-second lead over Colin Scott in second place? For Michael Clough. That is an amazing gap, and it must have been more as he goes a little bit wide at turn one there.
Yeah, I mean, this is peculiar, isn't it? I wonder whether we're seeing something on the timing since isn't quite right. Yeah, Matt Isherwood is now, of course, up to second place behind Matty Chambers, with Craig Beasley in third place, and it'll be interesting to see whether the guys who've had those coming offs are going to be able to pull themselves back into this. We're now on lap 5, aren't we, of this race, and we've had just over 4.5 minutes of a very eventful first race here tonight. So let's just see this. Colin Scott, he goes off, and so that's position loss for him in the GT3.
Yeah, I hate to say it, he's all the way down into 17th place just now. Just having a look as well as we see Lyndon Oble and Ryan Martin coming together there. That's the Veterans GT3 driver and the RAF Central Fund GT3 driver, GT4 driver. They've come together, and Ryan Martin at Lyndon Oble dropping far down the order there. You can see stuck on the entry to this is the replay here. Coming together between a GT3 car and a GT4 car. It's never going to end well, is it?
For neither of them, really, and feel sorry for Linda there. She's still probably getting to grips with this, the power of this Porsche, and having problems to get back onto the track again at the moment. So she's being overtaken by everybody. But get yourselves back in contention there, Linda. That's it. She'll be right down at the bottom of the field now, of course. A big learning curve for everybody. But Matty Chambers, look at him. He's going really well, isn't he? Now he's got just under half a second lead over Matt Isherwood, with Craig Beasley following on in third place. That's in the GT3s. And Craig Durant has increased his lead to 6.2 seconds. Amazing.
Yeah, amazing pace. Although, how nervously do you think Matty Chambers is going to be right now? That gap to Matthew Isherwood was 0.8 of a second. Now down to about 0.4 of a second as we see Michael Clough doing a little bit of rallycross down through the old hairpin for the 6.5 minute here at our first race of the evening. So as we said, Matty Chambers in the lead of this race. We can see on board here with Duncan Steele trying to catch down on Clough. I believe that is in front of him just now for Duncan Steele. Yeah, so that's Clough and Dan Berris, actually, who is one of the GT3 cars just up in front of him just now. So again, with the GT3s, I'm really impressed at how close the GT3 battle is going on. As we see Dave Russell here coming into the corner here at Coppice. Well, that is one impressive way of trying to get around the corner, isn't it?
Well, it's a sort of controlled drift gone wrong. which you would see in rallying, wouldn't it? But not necessarily on the circuit. But he'll be back in there. I see that the gap in the lead is not changing very much between Chambers and Isherwood. So it's just down to now 0.375 to 0.4 of a second. So that's really close. And I'm sure that Matt Isherwood is probably planning some sort of attack as we head towards the latter stages of the race. And just sort of seeing how that's going. 105.6 is his lap time. So, a good second slower than he was achieving in during the qualifying.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this is a fascinating little battle going on right now. This is Michael Clough just ahead in the GT4s in second place. This is a replay then. That's Tom Stevens, the 90 and the 89. That is Tom Stevens and the 89. Craig Beasley as well there. You can see the number 42 of Rob Barrett rejoining. It's just, it's going to be an absolute battle of attrition, this race here, this first race, with 7 minutes left to go here. And you're spot on with that observation there, John. Isherwood did catch up. In fact, what has happened to Isherwood? That's now 1.5 second gap, 1.6 second gap. So that gap is going up. I wonder if Isherwood has either come across some lap traffic or he's starting to struggle with that car.
Well, possibly. Where are the others? Because they're, it's really a 2-horse race, isn't it now? With Craig Beasley some 5 seconds, but actually no. Beasley has jumped now. Isherwood has dropped right down, according to the timings that we can see. He's now dropped right down to 7th place, 8th place. Has he dropped out? What's happened to Matt Isherwood then? He was right up there. No longer. He's gone right down to 10th place. He has had a crash, apparently. We'll have a look at the replay in a second, I think. Maybe he was just pushing it a little bit too hard. Here we are with Matt Isherwood now. He was clearly trying to close that gap. And he overcooked it.
Yeah, you can see all he's done there, John, is he's lifted the car up on that sausage curb on the left-hand side, completely unstabilizes the car there, and he's in a rock and a hard place right now because he's trying to do the best that he can. He has to keep the car still to avoid causing an accident for everything else. So fair play to Matt. That was a brilliant bit of driving there just to keep the car where it was. But beyond that as well, you can see that battle raging on for the GT4s. In fact, that's all come to a head as well, because now Clough is all the way down into 4th position. Here's Chris Darnell then, and this is battle for 3rd and 4th position. You can see Tom Stevens firing it up the inside in the 89. They're side by side then, coming down through Hollywood, through the crater curves. Is Chris Darnell going to try and get the cut back into the old hairpin here? I don't think he is. I think he's going to have to just let this one go. And the thing for them is they're right on the tail of Craig Beasley. So this is for the final podium position here with 4.5 minutes left to go. Still tons to fight for, and it's a very similar situation here in the GT3s as it is in the GT4s, because as I said, you've still got Duncan Steele and Dan Hardwick fighting it out for 2nd and 3rd in that GT4 championship as well in this race. But Michael Clough, who was in that 2nd place, dropping all the way down to 4th position. But it's still Tom Stevens and Darnell fighting it out tooth and nail. You can see them in the background there. Chris Darnell still desperately trying to take that position. This is Chris Allen though for British Army GT3. And the great thing about this, John, this championship, is that no matter your skill level, you will always have another car to keep you company.
Absolutely. One thing that struck me as well, David, tonight is that any attempts at close overtaking, any dogfights, are ending up in accidents. And I think that the drivers are having real problems. Keeping the cars on the track is one thing, but actually fighting it out and fighting for track position in a sort of a situation like this, it's bringing mistakes, which is what we expected.
Certainly is, and it's brilliant action all the way here as we see Chris Allen fighting Ben Weston here down into the old hairpin then. That sweeping right-hander that's off camber. So easy to lock up the brakes, as we see Stu Etic makes a mistake. He goes off track and drops down a position. Ryan Martin back up into 12th position. For it, for Ryan, it's been a race to forget. You've got to say, after that amazing performance at Donington Park and not even finishing in the top 10 in this first race, this is almost certainly going to be one of his drop score weeks, you'd have to imagine. Tom Stevens, however, in the 89, that has been an incredible performance from him in the Royal Navy GT3. Great to see as well. Now, you mentioned this, John, about Royal Navy GT3 needing to get the points here. Second and third place, that is a performance and a half.
It is. It's something they'll be very pleased with. They'll be hoping that they can just keep that up, because it's one thing getting to these positions. It seems to be quite another keeping them, as we've been seeing. Matt Isherwood is now up to 8th place again. He's closing in. He's only a second behind Chris Boland at the moment, less than a second behind him. But then there's a gap of quite a lot going through to Ollie Wayne. Ollie Wayne has done well. He's got himself up to 6th place. Ollie was one of the stars of last year as well. Maybe he's just beginning to find his feet now on board the Porsche. Oh, and who's gone?
That is Chris Allen.
Allen.
So that was down in 12th position in the GT3s. And just as I said that about Craig Beasley and Tom Stevens, of course, what I completely forgot there, John, is the fact that we've now got a Royal Navy 1, 2, 3. Because, of course, our race leader, Matty Chambers, is part of that team as well. Oh, and that's contact. And that is a bad mistake with the 85. That's poor Ryan Martin in the battle, in the thick of it again. And he's just not had a break tonight at all. I'm starting to feel really bad for Ryan.
Yeah, you can't help but feel for him, because he's had no luck whatsoever this evening so far. But yeah, you're quite right. Look at the Navy places. It's really good to see, isn't it? With Matty Chambers, Beasley, Stevens, and now Craig Durnell as well is right. Chris Durnell is right up there with Matthew Banyard at the moment in the GT4. He's gone off the circuit. They really are having problems controlling the cars, and it's something that maybe we, as I say, I saw during practice and we saw during qualifying. As soon as you put these guys racing against each other in these very difficult, hot-to-handle cars, we're going to get lots of waves of excitement and thrills and spills.
Oh, 100%, and absolutely. And just watching Matthew Isherwood here making his way through. Tom Stevens into pit lane. Tom Stevens into pit lane from P3, and I can only presume that is after a big accident and that car having to go back into pit lane. So Dan Berris dropping down as well. He's had a bit of a moment here, but we see Matthew Isherwood. So this now means that Matthew Isherwood, after that early contact, brings himself back up into P7. So a stunning recovery drive here from the number 60 here as he makes his way past Chris Bolland. Now this is going to be on the run up to McLean's, and Bolland thinks better of it. He's not one to let that position go whatsoever. I don't think he's going to have much to say about it. But here comes Matty Chambers. Matty Chambers then is going to come across the line to finish in the race. He takes the win then for the 144, and Royal Navy GT3 are victorious in race 1 of the evening. Craig Beasley finishes in second place, making it a Royal Navy 1-2, and then Chris Durnell takes third place to make it British Army on the podium for the first race. It's then the number 1 machine in fourth position of Chris Slater. Ollie Waynes is going to finish in fifth. Chris Bolland in sixth. Matthew Isherwood on that recovery drive, as we said, in seventh position is James King in eighth. Tom Stevens in ninth. Ryan Martin in 10th position, with Ben Weston and Stu Etic in 11th and 12th position. Harry Gardner is going to take 13th, and it's Colin Scott and Chris Allen in 14th and 15th position. Craig Durant taking the GT4 so from Duncan Steele and Dan Hardwick on the podium there. Yeah, that was a bit of an interesting race. I think that is the understatement of the century right there.
It is. I wish I feel sorry for the starter, actually, because he's waving his flag maybe he's doing some sort of fitness regime because there's no cars going past, but he's still waving his flag. But I think it's just going to show we've got the checkered flag there. So well done to the start finish line chap there. He did a great job. But yeah, I mean, great news for the Navy with Matty Chambers and Craig Beasley first and second, and a third place for Chris Donnell from the Army with obviously with Craig Durrant finishing first for the GT4. Good results, good performances, interesting race to say the least.
Yep, certainly was. So there's confirmation then of your GT4 results. As we said, Craig Durrant taking the win from Duncan Steele and Dan Hardwick, Michael Clough in 4th, James Fielding in 5th, Steve Ward in 6th, Roe Barrett in 7th position, with Matthew Banyard in 8th position, Dave Russell finishing 2 laps down in 9th position. Moving on to the GT3s then, as we said, Matty Isherwood having an absolute horrible race to forget. Matty Chambers though steps up and takes the win from Craig Beasley. Chris Darnell in 3rd, Chris Slater in 4th, Ollie Waynes in 5th, Chris Bolland in 6th, Matthew Isherwood in 7th, James King in 8th, Tom Stevens in 9th, Ryan Martin in 10th position, Ben Weston in 11th, Stu Etic in 12th, Harry Gardner in 13th, Colin Scott in 14th position, and Chris Allen in 15th, with Dan Berris finishing 2 laps down and Lyndon Noble finishing 8 laps down. So there we go. That is race 1 out of the way. Was that exactly what you were expecting there, John?
Well, I'm not sure if I was expecting it, but I think it was on the cards, given what we saw in practice and in qualifying. This is a tough track for the drivers with the extra power that these cars have. Overtaking today is going to be an issue. I suppose that if you look at the man who finished 4th, which was Chris Slater today, what he was able to do, he worked his way through the field. He was having a few issues during practice, but he worked his way through the field and sort of kept out of trouble. The same with the Navy boys, obviously right at the top there. Once they'd found that position, they were able to keep it. I feel sorry for Matt Isherwood because he had such a good lead there at one stage, and then it just went wrong. Almost when you just put that little bit of extra pressure on the pedal, and suddenly the car goes a bit awry. It'll be very interesting to see what the drivers have to say in the interviews that we do with them.
Well, let's find out, John, because I'm going to let you loose on them. Let's bring in the GT4 guys. We've got Craig Durrant and Dan Hardwick waiting to have a chat with us. So let's bring in Craig Durrant and Dan Hardwick. And John, I'll let you ask them a couple of questions.
Okay, well, let's talk to you, Craig, first of all. How was that for you?
Yeah, it's great. I think I did pretty well, I think.
You certainly, yeah, you did. It's a challenging course in these cars, isn't it? And we saw a lot of cars coming off, a lot of incident. What was your strategy to sort of try and keep out of trouble?
Strategy was to pick a lap time and try and match it, to be fair. It didn't quite always work out. Felt like I was racing a few GT3s at one point. And I think that was my strategy, was to pick a lap time and go for it.
Well, it clearly worked for you because I think all around you there were people coming off and there were people who were maybe pushing a little bit too hard today. How are you feeling about this car compared with the Mazda last year? There's obviously a huge difference. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a huge difference in power, clearly, and speed. Everything happens so much quicker. I can only imagine a GT3 car is even more so. But you've got more toys in the GT4 car anyway to lean against. You've got the ABS and the traction control are tied together, but you can use that and you can have a bit more fun in that, I think.
And Craig, obviously, you're clearly before the first race today, you were second in the championship. Good to get these early points on the board, and you won't have done yourself any harm today with that performance in that first race.
And that's what it's all about in the day. Well, that and being here and having fun. So I can't say any more to the guys, especially that are organising this. It's great so far.
Well done. Congratulations on that. Let's bring Chris in, shall we, as well, for a chat. Chris, how was that for you?
There we go. Chris is now waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chris, how was that for you then? How did it go?
Yeah, it was good. Hectic, but no, it was good. There was me and Tom and Craig having a nice little battle, getting around the GT4s. So that all went fairly smooth. Then I think Tom must have run out of fuel or something. Must have underfueled at the end. Well,
Something certainly went wrong there, didn't it? But, I say this is a real challenge, this track and these cars. We're seeing, a lot more coming off, certainly, than we saw at Donington Park last week. Is that just the track? Is that you still getting used to the way the cars work?
There's a lot of sort of blind corners and that on the tracks. There's a lot of undulations, and it's a mixture of that. Everyone getting used to racing near each other, and obviously the multi-class bit makes it even more interesting. Everyone trying to get around each other and give each other space and that. It
certainly makes it interesting for the commentators. I can tell you that. But obviously important points. As I said, I was just saying to Craig there, important points to get on the board at this stage in the season, early doors.
Yeah, I had a bit of a nightmare last week, so it's a bit better to get some points on at least.
I'm sure you're pleased to get over that and to maybe put last week behind you. Have you been able to do a lot of rehearsing, practicing this weekend or during the week in the days leading up to the race?
Not too much this week, but it's a track that I know pretty well, so that helped. It was just getting used to the car and finding the setup that works. Well
done to you. We'll look forward to seeing you see how you get on in the second race today.
Cheers.
Thanks for your time, Chris. That was Chris Donnell there. And I think we're sort of getting the same message, aren't we, David, from both the drivers we've spoken to there. I think the driver, and that's with Craig Beasley now, because that was a great performance from him in the GT4.
Well, Craig was in the GT3s there, John, and taking that second place there. But we'll jump off. We'll get a word with Craig afterwards in just a minute, because we've got the reverse grid coming on just now. So let's see who we get there. 7th place, no way. That means that is Matty Isherwood, if I'm not mistaken there, John, that is going to have pole position. So we'll jump
for the second time.
Yeah, that's a bizarre one. Let's hope he doesn't make a mess of this one. Right, let's bring Craig back in. Sorry about that, Craig. Second place. You must have been absolutely delighted, especially watching what happened with Matthew Isherwood.
Yeah, it was. I'm not the quickest out of obviously them guys. Just a couple of attempts per lap off, but I try and stick it consistently and keep it in case. Like I said last week, if anybody slips up, puts a wheel on the grass or whatever, I'm trying to be there to capitalise on them, and hopefully it's not my outright pace that's not quite as good as them that'll do me to get me to these positions. It's their mistakes more than my pace, and again, that worked this race.
With the reverse grid, it means that Matty's going to be back on pole position. I think that's going to put you down about P7. I would P6. I think on this second race. What's going to be your plans for getting your way through the field?
As fast as I can, and hope that other people make mistakes. So, like I say, there's a lot of quick drivers out there. Matty Chambers is rapid. Ryan Martin and Matty Ishwood, they've all absolutely rapid. So. Hopefully just keep it clean and see what happens in front of me. But in that race, in race one, we were on for a 1-2-3 for the Navy until Tom Stevens got a bit of damage from when he was lapping a GT4. So if we can get the Navy team back up there in the podium positions, that'd be great. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, best of luck to you and the rest of the Royal Navy GT3 team. And we'll hopefully speak to you after race 2, Craig.
Thank you very much.
So there we go then. That is a taste of what is going through the minds of the drivers here as race 1 gets finished and done and dusted here in Donington Park. We're going to take a very short commercial break. We'll be back after this.